evidence than ever presented.
Let's talk
your
about
elections in this country. We're like a third world country. Your elections are crooked, and you're crooked, and Meet the Press is crooked, and so is ABC and CBS and CNN. You're one-sided crooked network. So let's call it quits because I've had enough. Thank you, darling. Have a good time.
Mr. President, let's please. I traveled all the way to Wisconsin.
I've sat in the rain with you.
I know. I traveled all the way to Wisconsin.
On and off in the rain, and I've given you enough time. You ought to straighten out your press because you know what? A country can never be great with a dishonest
Listen, we traveled all the way to Wisconsin for this interview.
Oh, boy. Ladies and gentlemen, everybody understands that illegal immigration has been a disaster for this country. And what you saw was part of the conversation with the President of the United States and Meet the Depressed. And what he is frustrated with is exactly what some of you are frustrated with. We are frustrated with not getting the real information. We are frustrated with the news media not covering what is actually happening in this country. And I think this president has finally said the quiet part out loud. And that's the one thing that the news media will never do. They will not talk about illegal immigration. They will not address the issue of the so-called loopholes with legal immigration. These programs have been abused, they have been exploited, they have been stretched, they have been manipulated and turned into loopholes for decades. And that's exactly what we're talking about today, because this is getting out of hand. The news media could very well be one of the biggest adversaries that we have in our country right now. That's just my opinion. I would love to get your opinion down below in the comments. But do you agree with the president here about this dishonest news media? Now, I think another avenue that we're seeing is how we are not allowed, or how the president is not allowed to run the country the way that we, the American people, voted for him to be able to run it. And I want to show you an example of this. And this example comes from a fellow conservative on this platform, Matt Morse, according to information released by the Cato Institution, pro-immigration libertarian think tank. We know how the Cato Institute operates. Asylum seekers gaining legal admittance has dropped by 99.9%. Refugee admissions have dropped by 90%. Since January 2025, all refugees legally entering the United States have been white South Africans because they're fleeing apartheid. Immigrant visas for permanent residents have fallen by 50% over the last 15 months. Trump's new $100,000 fee on H-1B visa applications has reduced the number of H-1B visa holders by 25%. It's the first time since 1935. Now, I love this image of America being closed because we have so many people coming to this country that are poor. And when they come here poor, the prosperity in our country drops because they come here looking for a handout. Now, I personally think we should cut off all immigration for probably 10 years, maybe longer. And I'm sure some of you would like to see it completely halted. And I think that is not far from the truth. But we've got some of these, what I would call activist judges, some of these judges that probably don't really agree with us. And this is one of these judges. This is an Obama-appointed judge. His name is John McConnell. He was just fully exposed as an activist judge. He has donated $700,000 to Democrats. And he has just forced the restarting of work permits and processing for applicants. Now, do you think an activist judge should be able to circumvent the will of the president. And we have another dishonest news source, the Wall Street Journal. A U.S. judge just struck down several of Trump's efforts to restrict asylum claims. Now, right now, with the amount of people that have been in our country or that have came to our country under the previous administration, we know a lot of those people have not been the best, the most honest, the most, what I would say, law abiding. But why did they come? Why did the Democrat policies welcome them? And I think it's never been more clear than what you're seeing going on in California right now. They became a pipeline for cheap labor, a pipeline for fraud, a pipeline for people who were never supposed to remain here. And all of it has been done while the American worker, the American taxpayer, the American family, you were told to sit down, shut up, and pay the bill. And what they have done, they have manufactured these large cities. We'll call them sanctuary cities. And one of the largest sanctuary cities is in California. It's Los Angeles. And whenever they do that, when they get all these numbers in here, they get to amplify the census and the counting of bodies, not legal residents, just bodies. And whenever they count bodies, it does something to the voting registry called the Electoral College. It shifts these numbers, okay? It amplifies the amount of Congress members that a state will get. And what that does is it gives sanctuary cities kind of a hand on the scale of justice when it comes to passing laws in Congress or impeding what we, the American people, vote for. It gives more weight to cities and states like that. And so I want to show you something here. And I think this is a very, very important little clip that CBS News has put out that I never thought they would ever discuss publicly.
A federal judge in Rhode Island has struck down a series of Trump administration policies that were delaying the immigration process for hundreds of thousands of applicants.
A federal judge has blocked a Trump administration policy that had prevented officials from granting asylum, green cards, and other legal immigration benefits to many immigrants in the U.S. At the center of the court ruling is a series of policies enacted by the administration last year that have sharply restricted legal immigration. One of the policies had completely halted all legal immigration applications filed by citizens of 39 countries listed on President Trump's so-called travel ban. For months, most immigrants from countries like Cuba, Haiti, Iran, and Nigeria have not been able to get work.
Cuba, Haiti, Iran, Nigeria. I'm sure they're only sending their doctors, lawyers. I think we need more psychologists is what I really think that we really need right now. Maybe more therapists for anyone that thinks this is a problem. If you think limiting immigration is a problem, I want you to look around the cities that you live in. I want you to look around at some of the, let's say, lawn care companies. Let's talk roofing companies. All right? Let's think about that. We need to get Americans back to work. We need to get college graduates a job. We don't need somebody with a master's degree in feminine dance therapy working at Starbucks their entire life. We need to get them employed so they can pay back the student loans that they want me to pay for. Okay? So limiting all immigration, I'm all for it. I think we're full. I think we're closed. It's like the lines for the roller coaster at Disneyland. It's a long wait. And I think the wait to get in the United States needs to be a lot longer.
permits asylum, permanent U.S. residency, or American citizenship. The Trump administration says it enacted that pause on national security grounds after an Afghan man who was granted U.S. asylum allegedly shot 2 National Guard members in Washington, D.C. But
That they keep using this term alleged. We know it happened. We know it was an Afghan guy. We know it was National Guard, American National Guard. Now I want to show you something else here. Because of all of this, more things are coming out. More information's coming out. And some of these people that are here are not necessarily our friends. Think about all the people that are on those terrible watch lists that the previous administration allowed in.
What is happening to our H-1B visa program? Take a look at this. The Department of Labor processed nearly 7 million visa holders since 2015. Over 70% came from India and nearly 12% from China. And when you zoom in on this map you're looking at, you can see where most are being hired.
Look at this. The densely populated sanctuary city trap.
The dark red spots show a high density of H-1B visa holders. And now we're learning more about the fraud within the program. One former official tells Newsweek that up to 90% of applications, 90% from India, contain fraudulent documents or involve unqualified applicants. And finance law enforcement in India claim it has uncovered a network of universities that produce fake degrees, which were possibly used to obtain these high-skilled H-1B visas.
Who would have guessed? Fraud from India. You know, all the call centers. We've all got an uncle in Nigeria that he's like a prince. You're starting to understand this, right? Folks, those days may finally be coming to an end. And it needs to happen much quicker than what it is happening right now. Because the people that are coming here do not like us. They do not want us to succeed. They want one thing and one thing only: dilute the American system, dilute our pool, our gene pool. These asylum admissions is another loophole of how they exploit this. And this exploitation is only hurting American workers and your children, your grandchildren, that for some reason their college degrees cost $300,000. Meanwhile, you have 100,000 counterfeit certificates being seized. Those are the only ones that we've caught. Are you starting to understand this now? For every 100,000 that we caught, I bet there's 10 million that we haven't caught. My first question is this: why is America always expected to absorb the world's problems before we solve our own? We have homeless veterans. We have young American men who cannot afford homes. We have working families crushed by rent, groceries, insurance, medical bills. We have college graduates buried in debt, while companies tell them we can't find qualified workers. Come on, man. This is disgusting.
Including one school which allegedly stole over 36,000 fake degrees, sold, I should say. It cost as little as $1,400 for one of those. And while these are supposed to be...
I think I'm going to fly to India and I'm going to buy me a PhD. And then you can call me Dr. Ben. That's what I'm thinking I'm going to do right now. I mean, it seems like it works for everyone else.
High-skilled employees during almost all of Biden's time in office, 83% got junior or entry-level positions. And now Texas is taking action, cracking down on those abusing the program. Attorney General Ken Paxton announcing he is suing a Texas-based company owned by Chinese nationals, accusing them of running a fake childcare business to allow people to fraudulently obtain H-1B visas.
This is a tourism industry for China. They load up a plane with a bunch of pregnant women. They fly them to a city like Dallas or Houston or New York, any major city. They get them a hotel. They put them up for a night. They take them to a hospital. The baby's born. Guess what? The baby's an American citizen. That's how the system works.
He's also taking action against 30 North Texas businesses suspected of H-1B fraud.
This has to stop. America has a right to vet. We have a right to audit. We have a right to say no. And that brings us to this big problem. When we have a judge, when we have a liberal judge circumventing the president, and you know this is going to be from Senator Chris Van Hollen. He flew down to Argentina to have margaritas with a criminal. This is the New York Slimes as well. You knew it was going to be here. Trump administration live updates. Judge says the government must restart the immigration processing. And now we're starting to understand why. It's never been more clear than what you're seeing happen in Los Angeles with the Chris Pratt election, with the governor's race there. They need to keep their numbers up. That's how this works. We've got Todd Blanche next. He's talking about another problem that is stemming from this because a lot of these people, like I said, are not good. They just caught a bunch of people in Kansas and California.
Individuals in Kansas and California that you found, and they were providing material support to ISIS. And the details are quite something. One said it was sick if his name was on a drone that would kill American service members. Another person said they always wanted to kill a female soldier by beheading. I wish I could kill 300 million Americans. These are bad guys, and now they're in.
This is a very disturbing case. You have young men, they're in their 20s, completely indoctrinated by terrorism and by terrorists, and actually spending money to actually follow through on these attacks. Like you just said, one wanted their name written on a drone to kill Americans.
That's who we're getting right now. Those are the types of people that we're getting right now. Todd Blanche is probably going to be the next attorney general. Hopefully he gets confirmed. Hopefully he follows through on this. And I think there are multiple reasons why this is working against us. I think one of the major reasons is right here. This liberal activist judge that has donated, like I said, $700,000 to Democrat campaigns. I thought the black robe was supposed to be nonpartisan. I thought that was the whole way our justice system worked. But it doesn't seem like that. That is where I'm at today, guys. And this Judge McConnell, Obama appointed judge, we're a country of laws, a nation of laws, and a country that allows judges like this one to run immigration policy from the bench is not operating the way that the Constitution intended. America is not an economic zone. It's not a global jobs program. We're not a charity project for the political class to manage. America's a nation. It has borders. It has citizens. It has workers. It has families. It has veterans. It has taxpayers. It has a culture, and it has a history. And it has every right in the world to decide who comes here, who works here, who stays here, and who does not. That is not extreme. That's normal. And thank God we finally have a president willing to force this conversation back in the open. Because if putting America first means reining in legal immigration, impeaching judges, auditing fraud, and shutting down the visa pipeline all the way to the Supreme Court, then so be it. That is exactly what you asked for. That's what this country needs. And that is exactly what has to happen if we are serious about protecting the American people and our nation going forward. Smash a like and subscribe button. Thank you for tuning in. If you want to see a previous video discussing a little more in depth about what President Trump is up against, check this video out right here, and I'll see you in the next one.